You're now listening to All Hog Sports, covering all Arkansas Razorback sports, such as football, basketball, baseball, and much more. Now, here's your host for today's show, Sam Stimpson.
Arkansas defeated Mississippi Valley State University 142-62, an 80-point victory for the Razorbacks, and they go on to play North Texas on Saturday. I'll talk about both of those games in today's episode, but if you like what you're hearing, please leave a 5-star review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
Now, for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
The depth is here for this Razorback team. An issue from last season was there was almost a 6, 7, 8 guy rotation, but it looks like Arkansas may have a 10-man rotation possibly, where we could literally see 5 for 5 going off of the court at a time. Now that's not going to happen. Muss is known to have a smaller rotation of guys, but that didn't really matter because of the amount of depth the Razorback has. Great rotation of scores, 7 guys in double digits on the scoreboard, and the height is finally here as well. They were crashing the boards, out-rebounding Mississippi Valley State 58-33, and Vanover is literally a cheat code. The guy's 7-3, and every single time a ball shot and missed, he crashes the board, gets the ball, 8 rebounds all that game, and so is Jalen Williams, the true freshman who is 6'10", had 10 rebounds all the game. And another thing that we struggled last season was free throws, and it looked like they practiced a ton as they were at 78.8% at the free throw line. And one thing, no matter who you're playing, free throws are going to be the same because free throws are the exact same shot every time. So to see it them near 80% is really good for the Razorbacks already. Now, shooting was fantastic. 50% from the three-point line, 55% from the floor, and only turning over the ball 7 times. That was a very key element to Arkansas dominating this game and winning by 80 because they were consistently getting shots up on the board, and if they weren't getting a shot, they weren't turning over the ball. 26 assists too. These guys work really well together. A concern that I had was the chemistry may not have been there because they had 11 new guys come onto the roster this year. However, it didn't look like that as there was 26 assists. They were passing the ball around, creating shots for one another, and playing like a team. No one seemed to look like they got the ball and would just go for a shot. Now, it's all this depth. I really wasn't sure who was going to be on the starting roster. However, the starting 5 for this game was forward Justin Smith, forward Vance Jackson, and Vance Jackson hit 1,000 career points in his career as a college basketball player on this game, so congratulations to him. Guard Jalen Tate started, and guard true freshman Moses Moody, who's a highly touted prospect for the NBA draft, all ready to be a one-and-done. He played pretty well, in my opinion, and I think people were expecting a different performance. He took 13 shots, made 4 of them, but he was fouled a ton as he was 9 from 10 from the line. He played pretty well, in my opinion. I feel like when you have a freshman's first game in NCAA, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but lots of upside with him. And I think the more times we get him out there on the court, he's going to perform as he's going to get used to the NCAA, because there's a little bit different from college. But the last guy was guard Desi Sills, and I like the start. A lot of people wanted to keep him as a 6th man so he could come onto the court and make a difference. However, I think he builds a ton of leadership on this team. He knows how much the system works almost better than any other guy. He's a great shooter on the floor as well, so I think having him start is the right move for the Razorbacks, but I would expect even more changes going into the season. Just because that depth is there, and if one guy isn't performing so well, gets a little bit injured, we can just put another guy there, because the depth is here. I mean, we're going to have a rotation that maybe 10 or 11 players. That was nowhere near possible last year. So having depth is very important for the Razorbacks. But another guy who came off the bench and was the leading scorer, Connor Vanover. I talked about his rebound ability earlier, as he's 7'3". Every time he just crashes the boards, get the rebound. But he was also a really good shooter. 8 out of 11 on the floor, 4 for 5 from the three-point line. And this is a tall guy shooting three-pointers. When's the last time you've seen an Arkansas Razorback have a tall forward who's shooting these shots like this? Absolutely ridiculous. Great stuff from him, and I'm not even surprised. If you look at some of his tape from California, while he was a guy who could get rebounds, put the ball in the bucket right there, he was able to shoot the 3-ball. A lot of Razorback fans are surprised from this, but I'm really not. Obviously, he lost some weight and missed some time during the offseason. There was concerns there. That didn't seem to matter, though. Coming off the bench was the leading scorer. And I'm interested to see if he may be moved into a starting position against North Texas because he came off the bench and played so well. But there's just so much talent on this team. Anybody that we put out there, I think is really impressive. Arkansas won by 80 points, though, and that is the second largest Razorback win margin of all time. We were one goal from getting there. I mean, Bryson Moorhead would have sunk that 3 at the end. Arkansas would have the largest margin all time. However, it is at 80. And there was 81 points in the second half alone. Really impressive number there. But 142 points is the second most in Razorback history. It is behind 166 points against U.S. International. So I guess it's first against D2 teams. Very impressive win for the Razorbacks. And does Coach Musselman ever stop coaching? It just seems like every single time, even if we're up by 30, or if we're up by 40, or when we're up by 80, he does not stop coaching, gets these guys to improve on the court. That's the difference between good coaches, mediocre coaches, and bad coaches. Musselman does not stop coaching these guys. These guys put all of their effort there and leave it on the court. And that's something I love about Eric Musselman, the energy and the enthusiasm he brings at practice and on the court. I mean, you look at him slamming a chair when we were up at halftime by like 35. I mean, that's unheard of from most NCAA coaches. Really impressive from him. And I think a guy who make a big impact on the team is Coach David Patrick, highly touted assistant coach, great hire by the Razorbacks. And I think going forward, we'll see a bigger role in his, ability to talk to Muss and coordinate plays and things like that to help the team out, as he's one of the best assistant coaches in the nation. But so impressive for the Razorbacks. Nothing about this win that I really could complain about at all.
Now, for the grades of the Arkansas Razorbacks.
I'm going to give the offense an A+. Any night that you have 7 guys in double digits and you put up 142 points with a guy off the bench having 23 points, who is literally a 7'3 center/forward, is impressive. Nothing to complain on the offense here. 20 from the three-point line, 50% from there, 58 from the floor. Can't complain there. Defense, I'm going to give an A. I feel like there's a couple times where we should have got a rebound here and there. Nothing, though, to really complain about. I mean, it's first game woes, things like that. A, though, from the defense. Giving up 62 points obviously is fine because you win by 80. I mean, nothing to complain about there except for like maybe 5 or so rebounds I think we could have got. Not complaining at all, though. Overall, I'm going to give this team an A+, though. Just what they put on was so impressive, and I know Mississippi Valley State is probably one of the worst teams in D1, but for the Razorbacks to go out there and win by 80 shows that they don't back down. They're a second half and a first half team, and they're not going to just give up a fight at the end. They're going to keep playing and work on getting better as a team. Really impressive stuff from the Razorbacks. Moving on to the game against the North Texas Mean Green this Saturday at 5 p.m. Central. It is at Bud Walton Arena, and it's going to be on SEC Network Plus. Obviously, for the Razorbacks, lots of new faces still. I mean, I know we saw a little bit from the MVSU game of who's going to start and all, but there's 11 new guys still, and we still don't know a starting lineup. I think it's one of those situations where Muss is going to make the best decision for the team and how they play. I'll give my predictions a little bit later about who I think is going to start, but no clear starting lineup yet, and I think that's okay because there's so much depth on this team. I'm not worried. Connor Vanover, I think he's going to have a really big game again. 7'3 guy. He came off the bench. He got a ton of blocks, which resulted in steals, got 8 rebounds, and leaded the team in 23 points. A guy that kind of fell off the radar for the Razorbacks because of the other talent that was recruited as transfers. He had to sit out a year, which really was unfortunate because, in my opinion, the NCAA screwed him because California wouldn't cooperate in that situation. But anyway, that's from last year. He sat out a year, and he did a ton of practice over the offseason and is still at this really good level where he is a 7'3 shooter on the floor. Very impressive from him. And I think whether he comes off the bench or starts, he's going to have another good game. Jalen Williams, though, the 6'10 forward, I really like what I saw his rebounding ability. I saw it a lot in his high school tape, and he just seems to crash that board, get the ball and protect it, and get a pass there. This team plays so better when they pass the ball around and, they find the best opportunities for each guy to shoot the ball instead of just having one guy take all the shots for him, if that makes sense. Like JD Notiu, he's an absolute playmaker. He's 7 assists, and I know he dropped 30 in the red-white game, and a lot of Razorback fans had him starting. He didn't start, but he came off the bench and put up double-digit points. The ability for all these guys to come off the bench and put points in that MVSU game, very impressive, and I would think that's going to happen here. But my projected starting lineup for this, I'm going to say Connor Vanover is going to start this game, I think, at forward. I think Vance Jackson is going to start at forward as well. I really like what I saw from him at New Mexico State and in that MVSU game. I think he's a guy that Razorback fans don't give enough credit to. I really like what I see from him, though. Guard Desi Sills, a veteran leader on this team because he's been here for a while, and he's just a very talented shooter. Obviously, I could stress that all day. Guard Moses Moody and guard Jalen Tate. That's who I think starting in this game. But really, who's starting doesn't mean that much because of the amount of depth that Arkansas has. Now, the North Texas Mean Green are 1-0. They beat Mississippi Valley State on Thursday. Razorbacks also beat them, and they beat them at 116-62. So basically, they let up 62 points like Arkansas did, but only scored 116. 21 3 points completed by them, 20 by us. So I think stopping the three is important in this game. Last year, the Mean Green were 20-11, but they were 14-4 in Conference US play. They were the regular season champion for the first time in 31 years. They were picked to go number 2 in the conference and had 3 out of 14 place votes. But a guy to watch out for is Jalen Hammett. He was the All-Conference USA team, a redshirt senior guard, Conference USA Male Athlete of the Year, and he's a great shooter up front. He averaged double-digit points for this Mean Green team. He's a returning starter on this team, and he's a guy that a lot of people have recognized in the Conference USA, and stopping him for Arkansas is going to be hard just because he's a really talented shooter. North Texas is a lot tougher than it will be against the Delta Devils like it was on Wednesday night as we demolished them. I think the Mean Green are going to put up a fight, but I think the Razorbacks are going to handle them all right. But I think this game's going to be a little bit harder than other ones just because, it's a better Conference USA team, and it's a team that legit has a shot at the tournament. Another guy to watch out for is Zachary Simmons, the 6'10 forward. He's really good at crashing the boards and averaged good amount of points last year for this Mean Green team. Obviously, anytime you have a guy like him returning, working a ton on the offseason, he can put up and make an impact on this game. Another guy to watch out for is James Reese, though. Another returning guy for the Mean Green. They have 4 out of 8 players back in the rotation for this year, and it's going to be a tougher team than Mississippi Valley State. Obviously, Mississippi Valley State is a really bad team. Every single guy from last year, besides the coach's son, didn't return to the team. I don't really know what happened in that situation there. I'm not really familiar whether that was a player's coach's thing. Whatever it was, obviously they had a ton of JUCO guys come in, and they just aren't a good team at all, and I think the Mean Green are a better team. Obviously, you saw that they beat them pretty handily like we did. I think Mean Green are going to put up a fight. It's not necessarily going to be easy for the Razorbacks. It's going to be a tough game, but I think the Razorbacks are going to be all right and could win by double digits or more as long as they continue to shoot the ball like they did against MVSU. But I think watching some of the tape against Mean Green today on Friday for the team is going to provide a little bit about what they provide. Obviously, I would expect Coach Muss to get, a full analysis based off of the Mean Green team, as these guys are obviously going to work at that today as there's finally film on this team. When I record this on Thursday night, though, the line has not been released for this game. However, ESPN's BPI gives Arkansas a 72.5% chance to win this game, sitting pretty nice there.
It's time for Sam's prediction.
I think the Hogs win another one here. Obviously, like I said, I think the Mean Green are going to put up a better fight than Mississippi Valley State. Got the Razorbacks winning 79-60. I think the Razorbacks pull off at the end just because of how much depth we have compared to other teams like the Mean Green. I think it might be a little close for like the first 10 minutes. I don't know. I'd expect Vanover to start and play again off the bench, whichever one happens. And I think he's going to have another big game. Obviously, he's 7'3" guy. He's going to be able to get blocks that turn over to steals and things like that for the Razorbacks. I also think Moses Moody is going to show us why he was the best freshman out of this class.